action from the Education Ministry.
These parents don't have. Even if you have, is that the way you should spend money? Paying as huge as 20,000 to 35,000. And you see, the masters, they know. If we say...
We'll delve into that subject and find out what exactly the complaints are and whether or not it is true that people are having to pay to get their awards placed in various senior high schools. And later, prosecutors await forensic report in murder case of immigration officer Steffen Amoah. Details of all of this and more coming up in the next 1 hour, including business and sports. For that, let's bring you the news summaries with
Amoah. Thank you, Martin. And let's begin with our first story, where new corruption allegations have hit Ghana's computerized school placement system, with the union leader accusing officials of taking bribes of up to 35 Ghana cedis to 35,000 Ghana cedis, I beg your pardon, to alter school placement. The Education Ministry has acknowledged the claims and says it will investigate, urging the public to report any misconduct. Calls are growing for urgent reforms to restore trust in the system. Away from the prosecutors in the murder trial of immigration officer Steffen Amoah say they are awaiting results of a forensic report to forward to the Attorney General. The case pending for 2 months at the Adabraka District Court involves 2 accused persons facing charges of murder and conspiracy. The continuous adjustment or adjournments have drawn concern from the victim's family, who are calling for expedited proceedings. The matter has been adjourned to October 22, and also government has released 130 million cedis to resume work on the La General Hospital reconstruction project, which has stalled since 2020. Health Minister Kwabena Minta-Akando announced this during a visit to the site on Thursday, October 9, 2025, urging contractors to stay on site and promised that payments will be processed soon. The project is to transform the old La Polyclinic into a modern 160-bed hospital to serve residents of La and nearby communities. Away from the Ghana's sports minister, Kofi Adams says the Black Stars are aiming to make a strong impact at the 2026 World Cup and not just to participate. His comments follow Ghana's 5-0 win over Central African Republic, which leaves the team a point away from qualification. The minister compared the team spirit to the 2010 World Cup squad and expressed confidence that Ghana will make the world feel their presence again. Now to our last story, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat and IMOS Task Force has raised the Cape 3 Points and Tano Anya forest reserves, arresting several illegal miners, including 2 Chinese nationals, and destroying equipment. The suspects, believed to fund Galamsey under a community mining cover, were detained as Burkina Bay workers, also found at another illegal site near Sankrigwa. And this is where we end our news summary segment. And over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much for those news summaries. And we are going to be delving straight into the stories we have for you in detail. And we're starting from the meeting that was expected to have happened earlier today between the President of the Republic, the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and the Auditor General. But information we've got is that that meeting has been postponed until later. So President John Dramani Mahama is expected to meet with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and other key stakeholders to discuss what he describes as a final solution to the recurring mismanagement of public funds highlighted in the Auditor General's annual report. Over the years, the Auditor General's findings have been replete with cases of financial irregularities and misappropriation of public funds, with some estimates putting the losses in billions of Ghana cedis. Speaking at the 12th Annual Conference of Chairpersons of Governing Boards and Councils, Chief Directors and Chief Executive Officers organized by the Public Services Commission, President Mahama expressed concern over the situation. He stressed the need to curb the persistent drain on the public purse and ensure the swift prosecution of individuals implicated in such reports. Before we hear from the President, we'll take you through some of the numbers we have had since 2018. And clearly, it indicates that in 2018, over 3 billion Ghana cedis was for lack of a better expression, was wasted by some individuals working in public offices. In 2019, about 5 billion was wasted. 2020, 12 billion. 2021, 17 billion. 2022, 15 billion. 2023, 8 billion. And in 2024, 18 billion. And this is not actually even rounded figures, because, for instance, in 2024, it was 18 billion 415,673. No, 18 billion 415,673,589 pesos. So it tells you the magnitude or the quantum of monies that the public sector, through leakages and lack of better jurisprudence, causes the state to lose. And that is why the president believes that we need to now sit up as a country and make sure we punish people who do not exercise their oversight responsibilities, making the country lose money by heart, for as we say here in Ghana. But let's listen to the president when he expressed this concern about our lack of proper due diligence causing the state to lose funds.
And so I have a meeting on Thursday with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and others to find a final solution to this Auditor General's report, that persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam. Fast track before you see you in Nsawam, 6 months. Until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
And that's President John Dramani Mahama. Meanwhile, the Auditor General, Johnson Akuamoah, Asiedu, says he fully supports the president's call for sanctions against public officials who misuse public funds. He told our presidential correspondent, Komla Kluche, that the state must deter people from developing the appetite to steal, stressing that there will be no escape for anyone who misbehaves. Mr. Akuamoah Asiedu also disclosed that the meeting that was scheduled for today has been rescheduled or postponed to the 20th of October. Now let's listen to him in that interview.
It's not even direct to the president. Mm-hmm. Our reports go to the PAC. And we also send copies to the entities that are concerned. Mm-hmm. It's been a challenge for a long time. It's been a challenge for a long time. And I think the president has stepped in, as the head of state, just to take action. Yeah. Instead of just talking. Now, I believe that he wants action taken, not just writing the report and then the following year you go and write the same reports.
Right, so you heard the voice of the Auditor General, Johnson Akuamoah Asiedu there. Now let's go to the phone lines now and engage an anti-corruption campaigner and the co-chair for the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Edem Senanu. Mr. Senanu, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening.
Where do you stand on the president's call that it's about time we brought some finality to these increasing loss of monies or funds to the state due to due diligence or non-due diligence by public sector workers or some Ghanaians?
Highly commendable. We've seen this, in one sense, charade of having the Public Accounts Committee meet and discuss things, and nothing happens. We're supposed to have audit report, implementation committees, follow up, get execution of recommendations. But by and large, very little really changes year after year. We only see increasing amounts. So when the 2022 says 15 billion, I think 2023 was about 9 billion. The figures are staggering, and it tells you a story that we are not doing enough. So, yes, to the extent that we can put in some administrative arrangements to fast-track and much more importantly, sanction persons who have negligently caused us these losses. I think that's very important. Otherwise, the criminality continues unabated, and our country cannot change with that kind of situation. So, absolutely highly commendable, and I'm hoping we'll get some substantive proposals from the Chief Justice, the President, and together with the Attorney General, and is it the Auditor General? I don't know. But to the extent that they can come up with some tangible ways of fast-tracking hearing of cases, and this is happening elsewhere. We have fast-track courts in Kenya with a 6-month target of completing anti-corruption cases by sitting daily. So it is possible.
And coincidentally, before we even came on air, we put this out, and many people seem to agree to the fact that it seemed to have been a talk shop all these years. The Auditor General just comes up with shocking figures of how much we are losing as a state, but then little to no action except verbal cautions are given. Now, let's talk about the Public Accounts Committee, where coincidentally a number of these reports, or this report of the Auditor General, is discussed. And Parliament itself has some kind of oversight responsibility, but do not have prosecutorial powers. Would you consider that maybe the Public Accounts Committee themselves should be given some powers to sanction?
No, I think that the court for sanctioning, is well defined by law. We have the judicial system to look at that. We have the lawyers versus the justices who should take up these issues. I think that once there is evidence, the question is what level of evidence are we saying should be taken to the courts, and what nature of court should handle this? Obviously, with the numbers of cases and incidents we are dealing with, you need specialized courts that will sit daily. You need judges who are trained to look at this kind of evidence and say, yes, there is a substantive finding, and therefore there's a ruling we'll give. And you need the rules to spell out what nature of sanctions should be applied for what nature of cases. So I think that there's a lot to be done. We've gone through this cycle in one sense. We shout, hey, look at the figures. It's kind of hypocritical of us not to have taken the additional step of saying, look, you know what, this is not auguring well for us as a society. And I think that the president is doing all of us a lot of good by saying, let's pull by its horns and get some substantive decisions on how we can stop this thing of just having a public display of huge figures and then do nothing about it.
The one of the concerns that the president raised was that there are ineffective internal audit review committees at the various agencies. How do we strengthen these committees so that at least even before the Auditor General comes in, internally, these institutions and companies themselves check, probably peer review checks before the Auditor General comes in? Is that something you would hope that we consider?
I think so. I mean, there are many spaces where we have said that if our internal audit function were working effectively, then we would not have to worry about many of the things that turn up elsewhere, because they are supposed to be the front line, the first line of defense in terms of anti-corruption, because somebody there look at a trend or a pattern and say, this breaches the law, this doesn't follow the process, this is going to get us into a situation where we're going to lose a lot of money. So the internal audit system, really, a part of what, from experience, would be just simply the fact that at the moment where you have a situation, the internal audit people are paid by the same entities and their reporting lines are to the same, let's say, chief executives of the various ministries, departments, agencies they belong to. Then to that extent, they are not independent and they are not insulated from the influences of those in leadership and what they may be doing, which is wrong. And so we may want to rethink the reporting lines.
Are you with us? Hello? We seem to have just lost Adam Senanu there briefly. He is the co-chair for the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, and I was just actually about to put my final question to him on what he made of the proposition by President John Mahama that he needed to meet with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, the Auditor General, and other important stakeholders, so we find a sustainable solution to the leakages in the public sector, where every year the Auditor General, after going through all major public institutions and reviewing how they have expended their budget, there seem to be shocking leakages as regards how much we are losing as a state. So this is a call, like you heard Mr. Senanus indicate, this is a call we all need to support, or he absolutely supports, because if you look at some of the figures that we are talking about, and if you are watching us on Facebook where we are streaming this bulletin, or on YouTube, you would also get to see the numbers we are talking about. It started in 2018, where the Auditor General at the end of his of the year said that the country's public sector had lost over 3 billion Ghana cedis. So it was 3,007,258,924 Ghana cedis. In 2019, that figure went up to 5,468,398.431 Ghana cedis. It went even further, staggering and shocking figures in 2020, where from 5 billion in 2019, in 2020, that figure went up to 12 billion, more than twice the amount we wasted or we lost in 2019. So in 2020, 12 billion, 856,172,626 Ghana cedis. And again, just a year after that, from 12 billion, we went to 17 billion. So it tells you that between 2020, 2021, and even 2022, where we lost again 15 billion, the numbers have been quite shocking and staggering. Coincidentally, it reduced marginally in 2023 and came to 8,799,263,120 Ghana cedis. And in 2024, just last year, we had 18. That is the largest amount of money we've lost as a country through improper due diligence done by Ghanaians who sit and have oversight responsibility over a number of these institutions. And in 2024, we lost 18,415,673,558. So it is quite interesting that these are the numbers we are losing as a country, and the president is asking that a meeting be held immediately. It's been postponed to the 20th, so that is hopefully in about 10 days or so we will be having a meeting, or the president will be meeting with the Auditor General, who undertakes these reports, the Attorney General, who is government senior advisor on legal issues, and other key stakeholders like the Chief Justice, so we draft a proper solution to stop these leakages in the public sector. What do you make of it, though? You, as a Ghanaian, if you probably know someone who is helping these leakages, or someone who is benefiting on the blind side of the Ghanaian people, or probably you're a beneficiary yourself, or you are affected by these leakages, do let us know in the comment section on our Facebook page. We'll be happy to share it with the rest of the world. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition, and we shift our attention to some other stories now, this time education, because allegations of corruption have once again cast a shadow over Ghana's computerized school placement system. This time, the General Secretary of the Construction and Building Materials Workers Union, Richard Amoah, is blowing the whistle on what he calls a bribery syndicate operating within the placement unit. Speaking exclusively with our labor correspondent, Daniel Poku, he explained that some of the officers are collecting between 20,000 Ghana cedis to 35,000 cedis to repost students to their preferred schools. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education is set to invite the General Secretary to corroborate these allegation and help with investigations. There's more on this report.
See, 20 years ago, this computer placement came into being. And I believe the idea was to let people have admission at their schools so that there will be no problem. But rather, this is bringing a problem onto the parents. This is because people know, and I believe as I speak now, others can testify that there is a lot of robbery, I will call it robbery, going on at the education level. Why am I saying this? A worker has passed all right. He has had a very good result to be placed very well. And now the worker, the student will be placed at a different school altogether. And now the parents of the child will be told to pay a wholesome amount of 20,000 and above. Abba, what is happening in our country? But personally, I have evidence to some of these things. But another way around, I've been cautioned by the parents that, look, we are afraid if you don't take time and you mention us, they are going to hate our child. And we don't want that to happen.
So that's that's an interview we had with the General Secretary of the Construction and Building Materials Workers Union, Richard Amoah, giving indications that he actually has evidence to the fact of bribery when it comes to the school placement. Let's speak to Dr. Peter Pate-Anti of iFirst. He's joined us on phone for a chat on this. Doc, good evening and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin.
You work very closely in the education space. Is there any truth to this allegation of bribery when it comes to the school placement?
Well, there's been a lot of allegations of bribery in the school placement. I think about a year or two ago, one of your sister media stations did an investigative piece on this. What is difficult to ascertain is that this seems to be a demand and supply issue. So it's difficult to know who is offering the bribe and who is taking the bribe. And that is why anybody who is able to come out with evidence to ascertain these allegations will be something that will be helpful for all of us and the ministry in particular, because we will need to know and have evidence to be able to deal with this issue of bribery in the school placement.
Many would have thought that computerizing the process of school placement should have actually done away with these human interface and the fact that even corruption would be part of the conversation. Is it that we are not executing the school placement system properly, for which reason these allegations keep coming every year?
It's because in our part of the world, technology creates more problem than it is supposed to do. Actually, normally you see technology helping to solve complex problems. But in our part of the world, anytime you apply technology, it seems that our problems compound. And that is exactly what we are experiencing with the school placement. I think that there is not enough will to deal with this issue, because for me, I suspect that the people who are benefiting from the challenges and the problem of the computer placement system are not willing or not ready to help solve the problem. Because if you are not benefiting from the confusion and all those things that surrounds it, I think you'll be eager to help deal with the issue. But since it's been around all these years and the challenges keep compounding and escalating, I think that the people who can solve this are not so much willing to do so, because there might be other reasons that are best known to them. But for me, I think we should be able to deal with this issue with the kind of will and desire, so that as we move forward, we will not be having this challenge. Today, I heard that there are serious chaos in Kumasi Resolution Center. I still don't understand the reason why we continue to put our parents in this particular situation. And I believe that any conversation that we are having now should be looking into 2026. We shouldn't come back and just have a similar conversation and reiterate all the challenges that we are talking about now. People who have been mandated to solve these things should be able to sit down, take stock, and then make sure that the system is improved going into 2026.
It's interesting you talk about a supply and demand vacuum that has been created. And, most parents around this time become frantic where they fear their wards may not get the right schools, quote unquote. And the right is actually dependent on who you ask which school you think is right for your ward. But in that, it means that if we are to find a solution to it, we are not looking at just those who supervise the computer placement system, but parents as well. What role do you think that they have to play when we are trying to find a holistic solution to this problem?
I think the parents, most of them are desperate, and you can think about it from this perspective. You have a ward, you want the best for the ward, and the child has finished his basic education, and he's supposed to go into secondary school, and he's not getting any school, or he's not getting a school that he has selected, and that school was selected because the parents and the child, and maybe sometimes the teachers, were anticipating that the child would do well. So that is the premise, that the assumption that was used to select the school. And the results come, and maybe the child does not fit in the first choice, the second choice, or the third choice. You, the parents, will be desperate. And that is why I've said that it's not right for us to put the blame at the doorstep of the parent, because every parent would want the best for the ward. And in doing that, they are vulnerable. They become vulnerable, and people would exploit them. So it is up to the system to fix the challenge, to make sure that the parents have realistic expectations, because the parents might or have seen the performance of the student, have seen the results, the BEC results of the child. He will not go and pick a school that the child would not technically qualify. And that lies at the doorstep of policymakers and the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service. So let's deal with the problem first, and then we can have a conversation with the parents. But when you have not dealt with the problem, the parents you cannot put the problem at the issue at the doorstep of the parent. Because for me, if I have a child who is writing BEC, or his wrote BEC, his results is saying, and he's looking for a school, I will go heaven and earth to ensure that child gets the best of secondary education that I can offer him or her. And that goes for every single parent in this country. So we should not blame the parents. We should blame the system that puts parents in a difficult situation and make them select schools that technically they might not have chosen if they knew what the results, they knew the results the awards were going to get.
That's an interesting way you put it, because, the results of children are usually what we all hope will be good. Then based on that, we select schools. But if we go and do the selection of the schools and then the results come and it's disappointing, that's where the desperation of parents come in, isn't it?
Exactly. You put it perfectly the way I wanted to communicate.
Right.
So deal with that. The system should deal with that, and then we can have a conversation with the parents. Right. But so far as I'm selecting a school with an assumption that my ward will qualify, you see, we become emotionally and psychologically attached to those schools. The children would be talking, they have conversation with their colleagues, and they are I'm going to Holy Child, I'm going to Infant Pim. That emotional attachment is there. And as a parent, when you wake up every morning, you see your ward sitting down, crying, and going through all that psychological challenge because he did not get his first choice or second choice or third choice. Let me tell you, even if you're a Roman father, you'll be moved to make sure that your ward gets the school that he or she deserves. And that is why I will not put the blame on the doorstep of the parents. I would put the blame at the doorstep of the policymaker, who is making it difficult for parents to make realistic selection for their wards.
And finally, before we go, the current structure of the CSSPS, the computer placement, it's been about 20 years since we've been using it. You think the structure or the system itself needs an overhaul, a relook? We need to update it more for probably a lack of a better expression.
You see, if you have studied the whole system, you would note that there's been improvements. There's been the software has been updated. There's been some changes in the selection process. There's been a lot of conversation about sensitization of parents and students and teachers around this. So all these things have been done. What we have not done, and that is why I'm saying that this conversation should feed into 2026. What we have not done is that we have not changed the model of school selection. So if we have done all these things, we've changed the software, we've improved on the system, we've done ABC, even we have even changed the managers of the system. From 2008 we did change, 2016 we did change, 2024 we changed the managers of the system, but the problem still persists. It means that there's something extra that we are not doing. So yes, we can have we can try to expand the system. We can have a complete overhaul of the system. But if we do not address the underlying problem of realistic expectation against assumptions, we will still come back to this problem. So we need to do all these things alongside the fact that we need to change the model of school selection and make sure that students are able to select schools after they have seen their performance. That is a big boost to the addressing of the challenge that we are always complaining about.
Doc, thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're welcome, bro.
We've been speaking to Dr. Peter Pate-Anti, who is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, and clearly sharing the thoughts on the fact that the current concerns being raised about the school placement system, where there are allegations of bribes being collected for before wards are placed or pupils are placed in the secondary school, is a major national concern, and we need to have a conversation about it. What do you make of this? For those of you whose wards are currently in school, what was the process like for you? Do let us know in the comment section, because we're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. This is 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. When we return, we have some other stories for you, including the fact that the prosecutors are awaiting forensic report in the murder case of immigration officer Steffen King Amoah. That and more when we come back from this break.
Hello, Ghana.
Welcome back to 3FM 92.7. We are live around the world on 3news.com. That's our website. And we are also streaming on Facebook. Just look for 3FM 92.7. And you can be a part of the show, because your voice matters on these national issues we are talking about. Just gone by, we talked about the proposed meeting between the President of the Republic, the President, the Attorney General, and the Auditor General, and the Chief Justice, where they are going to brainstorm on how we can stop the leakages in the public sector in the Auditor General's annual report, where as of 2024, 18 billion Ghana cedis was lost through, very unscrupulous and dubious ways and means. And another story we just ended with has to do with the fact that many parents are complaining, or some parents are complaining about the fact that their wards or children are unable to get admission into secondary school through the school placement process or program because of the lack of or issues of bribery and corruption, where they say that they are being asked to pay between 20,000 and 30,000 Ghana cedis before the awards get placed through the school placement, computerized school placement program. And we are asking, if you are a parent or you are a guardian and your ward is seeking admission, have you gone through this? Have you been asked? Has someone demanded bribe from you before they help you? Do send that message to us on our Facebook page and YouTube page. Let's have a discussion on this very important national issue. Let's go on to other stories this evening. The Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, has admonished parents and guardians to get the HPV vaccines for their wards to keep them protected against the cervical cancer disease. His comments follows reports of some parents refusing to sign the consent forms, which enables the beneficiary children to get the jabs.
We have to begin to protect ourselves against the cancer at early stages. And Ghana is not the first country or the only country doing that. In the developed countries, even in Africa, Botswana, Rwanda, South Africa, they are all doing it. And even in Ghana, there are private people who are doing that, and we have piloted it here before. So the next stage is prevention, targeting the young girls. Then what I want to admonish all parents, again, is that we have made huge investments into this particular project, and it is in the interest of all of us to protect the current generation and the next generation. And so that is why I am calling on all parents and caregivers to bring their children. It's not harmful, and it is not part of any conspiracy theory to make somebody, infertile or somebody to control population or whatever. We hear this all the time, anytime we are bringing vaccines. And so we think that parents and caregivers should authorize their children to take the vaccines so that it will protect all of us against this disease.
And that's Kwabena Minta Akando, the Minister in charge of health. Meanwhile, in the Ashanti region, a concerted push is underway to overcome resistance to the new HPV vaccine. After some parents initially refused the life-saving shot for their children, health officials and school heads are now intensifying engagement efforts. The nationwide rollout targets children between the ages of 9 and 14 to protect them from cervical cancer and other HPV-related diseases. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent and has come through with his report.
It's day 2 of the HPV vaccination campaign in Kumasi, and the initial resistance from some parents appears to be softening. At several schools, the turnout was significant, a promising sign for public health officials. The high turnout at the State Experimental Basic School in Dakojom follows what school authorities describe as a crucial period of dialogue and reassurance with parents.
We explained the purpose of the vaccination to the parents. Even during the meeting, 4 parents could attest to the fact that they are actually experiencing cervical cancer, and they advise their colleagues that it's very important that they allow their children to take. Even I've received some calls from parents who are asking me to allow the girls to take.
The story is similar at other schools, including Asafo AME Zion and St. Louis Demonstration Basic School. While the overwhelming response is positive, the choice by a minority of parents to opt out highlights the challenges that remains.
There are some we called and we're able to explain what it's all about, and they have agreed. There are a few we are still engaging. Some school heads didn't get the information to the parents early enough, so they are now still engaging the parents. Hopefully today and tomorrow we'll be able to cover most of the schools in Kumasi.
The region is targeting over 400,000 eligible children, and the ultimate goal is to build a firewall of immunity for the next generation. The message from the top to every hesitant parent is one of assurance.
This is not the first time you are giving this vaccine in the country. A lot of people don't know. People go for it privately. It's available in some private facilities and around that people go and pay money and do. It doesn't cause infertility. It doesn't alter their sexual behavior. So we want to use this platform to allay the fears of all, genuine fears and concerns of all the parents, guardians, and the citizens, that these vaccines are safe, they have been tried and tested.
While the high turnout in Kumasi is positive, the real test will be sustaining this momentum across the entire region to ensure no child is left unprotected.
And you heard that report by Ibrahim Abubakar in the Ashanti region. And here in the Greater Accra region, we've been having similar reports. As of yesterday, when the nationwide HPV vaccine started, we had some schools where children said that their parents, even both parents, were divided. The mother will say no, the father will say yes, or vice versa. And it left some of the children confused. But it is good that as a nation we all have one voice when it comes to some of these issues. So it is important that we allow our girls, especially now that it's being rolled out between the ages of 9 and 14 years, to go out in their numbers to be vaccinated against HPV. So by the time they are in their adulthood, issues of cervical cancer will be reduced to the barest minimum. And it is not true. Forget those naysayers who say that these vaccines, it's a birth control strategy by some foreign, entities, organizations. Forget all those rumors and let our medical professionals in the country, whom we trust, to give us the right dosage, the right advice, and the right way of going about vaccinating our population against future challenges. Staying on health matters though, another promise, another visit, but will it finally bring results? The people of La are once again being assured that their long-awaited hospital will be completed. The Minister for Health on Thursday toured the reconstruction site of the La General Hospital and pledged that funds will soon be released to accelerate the stalled project. Health correspondent Sarah Apenkro has been through with the minister and put this report together.
And so in 2025 budget, we made an allocation of 130 million Ghana cedis for this project. My records indicate that out of the 50 million euros, about 7 million euros have been paid, which means that we have about 43 million euros more to pay before the completion of this project. Your guess is as good as mine. And the second IPC has been raised. As I indicated during my first submission, we have forwarded them to the Ministry of Finance. We've done some follow-ups with the Member of Parliament, myself. The last time I did a follow-up was yesterday. I engaged the Minister for Finance, and the Minister of Finance is committed into ensuring that funds are released for this project to progress.
And that is Kwabena Minta Akando, the Minister for Health, when he toured the La General Hospital reconstruction site. He engaged with the media, and that's what you heard him say, that some 130 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to help in the reconstruction process. If you live in that area or used to attend that hospital, this must be good news for you. Let us know what you think of it in the comment section on our Facebook page. This is Hot Edition on 92.73 FM. On to some other stories this evening. And residents in Wa are buzzing with curiosity following the recent arrest of 2 suspects linked to a series of notorious murder cases. The Upper West region has been on edge, and with this latest development has sparked conversations about the previous 19 individuals rounded up by police in connection with these crimes. On October 8, the Ghana Police Service announced the arrest of 2 suspects in connection with a series of gruesome murders recorded in Wa and Bole in the Savannah region. According to the police, the suspects are believed to be responsible for 15 murders in the Upper West region between 2021 and 2022. Let's listen to ACP Francis Yiribare, who is the Upper West Regional Police Commander.
After weeks of intense intelligence, we have successfully arrested 2 suspects. Sharif Abdullahi, aged 30 years, and Mahamada Lamin, also aged 25 years, who are believed to be linked to these incidents of murders all over the municipality. The suspects later admitted during interrogation that he has killed 15 people in the Wa municipality since 2021. He further noted that he usually targets watchmen and mentally challenged persons. He confessed that he had killed 3 more mad men and 2 watchmen at Bole in the Savannah region, and a further 1 mad man in Banda and Kwanta, also in the Savannah region.
And so that's the voice of ACP Francis Yiri Barre, who is the Upper West Regional Police Commander, there concluding that report about the suspicious murders that were happening in Wa, where now we are told that residents say they are quite comforted about the fact that at least some action or concrete action is being taken in that regard. So we'll update you subsequently on how all of this goes in the coming days. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7 on 3FM. This is Hot Edition, and we will be going to some other stories shortly for you. But your messages are also very important, so do let them come in, and we'll be happy to play with the rest of the world. We're waiting for business to bring us the latest in the world of business. Bismarck.
Hello, good evening. It's time now for the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also coming up this evening, Bank of Ghana's gold reserves surged to 37 tons, driven by domestic gold purchase program. This headline story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Bank of Ghana's gold reserves have reached 37.06 tons as of September 2025, marking a 21.3% increase since the start of the year. The steady growth underscores the success of the central bank's domestic gold purchase program, aimed at strengthening the country's foreign exchange position and enhancing economic stability. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk reports. The Bank of Ghana's gold reserves continue to climb, hitting 37.06 tons in September 2025, according to new data from the central bank. This represents a 21.3% increase since the beginning of the year, when reserves stood at 30.53 tons in January. The stockpile has been rising steadily month after month, moving from 36.02 tons in August to the current level in September. The central bank attributes the growth mainly to its domestic gold purchase program, a policy introduced to build stronger foreign exchange buffers and reduce Ghana's dependence on external borrowing. In an earlier statement, the bank described the program as key to diversifying reserve assets, enhancing currency stability, and providing a cushion against external economic shocks. Officials say the initiative will also help secure more affordable financing while boosting investor confidence and long-term economic resilience. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Bank of Ghana's gold reserves surging to 37 tons, driven by its domestic gold purchase program. Now, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has cautioned that the decision by government to direct more oil revenues into the Big Push infrastructure project is affecting budgetary allocations to oil and gas agencies in the country. The government has decided to use funds from the annual budgetary fund amount, ABFA, to finance projects under Big Push projects. The Big Push infrastructure program is a $10 billion investment or initiative aimed at significantly improving national connectivity and economic development. The vice chairman of PIAC, or therefore Amoah the 8th, explained that although the initiative is laudable, the situation is likely to affect investments in the sector as the country continues to experience declines in petroleum production.
Ghana is still not attracting new investment in the upstream petroleum industry, to the extent that no new petroleum agreement has been signed since 2018. Crude oil production declined again by 25.92% from 24.8 million barrels in the first half of 2024 to 18.4 million barrels in the first half of 2025. The committee reiterates its call on the government as a matter of urgency to ensure that the Ministry of Energy and its allied agencies increase efforts to arrest the decline in crude oil production and secure investment into Ghana's upstream petroleum industry. Also, the total petroleum receipts for the period decreased by a whole 56% from $840.7 million in the first half of 2024 to $370.3 million in the first half of 2025, mainly due to relatively lower crude oil production and then price.
And that was Vice Chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, or therefore Amoah the 8th, bringing us to the end of the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Sports news is next. Please stay.
Good evening and welcome to the Sports on Hot Edition. My name is Akuamoah AJ. We'll be starting off from the camp of the National Sports Authority, where in a decisive move aimed at improving the match-day experience for fans, the National Sports Authority Director General has announced that no tickets will be sold after 3 p.m. on Sunday. That's the day for the match involving Ghana and Comoros. Speaking On the new directive, the NSA boss, Amoah Ankara, emphasized that this measure is a direct response to crowd management issues faced during the September internationals, where Ghana played Mali at home.
There was a lot of speculation with regards to the gate proceeds. Obviously, the total gate proceeds raised in the last game, that is Ghana versus Mali, was 1,460,000. The most important thing, again, is the ticket prices for Sunday, which is very important so that we get clarity on that. So if you could just pay close attention. The popular stand is 50 Ghana cedis. The center line is 100 Ghana cedis. Lower VIP, 250 Ghana cedis. Upper VIP, thank you very much. Upper VIP, 500 Ghana cedis. And just like the last time, the VVIP, 1,000 Ghana cedis. Worth noting that on match day, tickets will not be sold after 3 p.m. The match is at 7 p.m. And the reason for this is that we don't want the challenges we had the last time, where fans were crowding around the stadium looking to purchase tickets. It must be very clear. And we're also in talks with the Ghana Football Association and other partners to ensure that there will be some fan zones or fans areas around, not necessarily around the stadium, but where fans can watch the match safely.
You heard the Director General for the National Sports Authority, Amoah Ankara. Remember, Ghana plays the final game for the 2026 World Cup qualifier against Comoros on Sunday at 7 p.m. That's all for the Sports on Hot edition. My name is Akuamoah. Thanks for listening.